Asterisk, what really happened that Jungkook couldn't hold back the tears? What secret did Jimin reveal in front of all BTS members to make the atmosphere suddenly tense? Find out in this exclusive news. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your opinion in the comments after reading this emotional news. Asterisk, what will happen if a person who all this time seemed strong suddenly collapses in front of all his loved ones? What if all this time there was a big secret that was kept tightly for years, and then it was revealed at an unexpected moment? And what if it all started with one short sentence that was uttered without the intention of hurting, but instead opened an old wound that had not yet had time to heal? The questions are not mere speculation or the plot of a fictional drama. It all really happened in an unplanned moment when all BTS members were gathered in an atmosphere that was initially full of warmth and nostalgia. However, in just a matter of seconds, the atmosphere changed completely. Laughter turned to silence. The smile turned to worry. And in the midst of it all, Jungkook, the golden magne who always looks calm, bursts into tears that thrill anyone who sees him. This incident started during one of the exclusive content recording sessions that was not made public, at least, not yet. The sessions were originally part of their personal documentation, which was often done as a form of memory in between promotional activities and rehearsals. During the session, they sat in a circle in a training room that was familiar to them. The camera is on, but not with the usual formal intent. They just want to share their stories, reminisce about the past, discuss their long journey from trainee to global icon. Jimin, known as one of the most emotional and caring members, got a turn to talk about the most meritorious person in his life. With a calm and sincere tone of voice, he began to tell about his mother, his family's struggles, and how his mother's encouragement made him survive the most difficult times during training. However, in the midst of his honest and personal story, he suddenly stopped. He looked at Jungkook. A long pause ensued, and silence began to surround the room. The other members glanced at each other, not knowing what was going on. And then, Jimin said in a low but clear voice, asterisk, but I also have to be honest, there's one thing I've been keeping, and this has to do with Jungkook. I know it's hard, but I think it's time. Asterisk, suddenly, everyone's attention was on him. Jungkook looked stiff. His normally calm hands began to fidget. Jimin lowered his head, took a deep breath, then started talking again. Asterisk, Jungkook, you may not know it, but when we were trainees, your mother came to see me. I didn't want to reveal this at first because I was afraid of hurting your heart, but your mother said something that left me speechless. He said he was worried about not being able to see you debut. He said he hid his illness so you wouldn't be burdened. Asterisk, the room froze. Jungkook looked at Jimin, as if in disbelief at what he had just heard. The other members were transfixed. Even RM, who could usually control the situation, looked surprised. Asterisk, he said, if one day he is not there, he wants me to take care of and support you like a big brother. I didn't know what that meant at the time, but after hearing from the old manager about your mother's health condition, I knew it wasn't just any ordinary concern. Asterisk, Jungkook started biting his lips, trying hard to contain his emotions. But his eyes turned red, and within seconds, his tears were spilling out. He looked down, his shoulders shaking. Why did you just say that, Hyung? Asterisk, his murmur was hushed, barely audible, but the microphone caught it. And that's enough to let everyone know, it's not just a heartwarming moment. This is a moment of heartbreak. No one spoke for the next few minutes. Only Jungkook's restrained sobs filled the room. V grabs her shoulder, trying to calm her down, but Jungkook can only cry. J-Hope, who was sitting across from her, burst into tears. Suga averted his eyes, unable to bear the sight of their usually feisty younger brother, now collapsing in grief. In that moment, all the successes, all the trophies, all the achievements seemed meaningless. All that remains is a harsh reality that behind the sparkling spotlight of the stage, there are hidden personal wounds, even from those closest to them. As the camera was still recording, Jungkook finally lifted his face. With a hoarse voice, he said, asterisk, I remember, there was a night when I was a trainee. I called Mom, and she said that my voice was healing her. I thought it was just an expression of love. But now I realize, he's calming me down, not himself. Asterisk, that sentence made all the members no longer able to hold back their emotions. Even the staff behind the camera can be seen wiping away tears. The story evolves into a frank confession from Jungkook about how he harbored feelings of guilt for rarely coming home, being too busy, and often feeling inadequate as a child. I was too busy proving myself. I guess by being successful, I can make mom proud. He just wanted me to be happy, not famous. These words touched the hearts of all who heard them. And as Jungkook reveals his deepest feelings, the members begin to open up to each other's stories about their families. Jimin approached, grasping Jungkook's hand, then said, "I don't want to open a wound, Kook, but I know you've been holding back too much. I just want you to know, he loves you more than anything, and he's never disappointed in you." This news then went viral among the internal fan base. The video of the recording has never been released to the public, but rumors and fragments of the story spread from those present during the session. Armies around the world began discussing it, writing love letters to Jungkook, and creating hashtags of support that in a matter of hours became trending on various platforms. But the most surprising came a few days later. Jungkook uploaded an old photo of himself with his mother, with the caption "I will never be enough. But I know you've been more than enough to keep me strong to this day." And with that, the tension of this story does not stop at one moment. It opens a lot of doors to empathy, prompting people to ask, how many things do we hide for the sake of appearing strong? How often do we choose to be silent when we just want to be heard? What's really going on behind the smile of a global idol? This story is not about popularity. It's about the human side of a person who every day sees millions of eyes, yet harbors a sadness that not even his closest friends know about. Until now, many fans continue to flood social media accounts with prayers and messages of love. The comments that read out their personal experiences with family, with loss, with regret, kept coming. This story has become more than just news. It becomes a mirror for many. And for those of you reading this far, we'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you feel after knowing this secret? Have you ever carried a burden that you never revealed? Write in the comments, share your personal stories, and let's strengthen each other. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and spread the word if you feel this story is important for more people to know. Jungkook's story is not the end. But perhaps this is the beginning of greater openness for her, for the members, and for all of us who often forget that tears are not weakness. It is the most honest form of love. However, what is surprising is not only the content of Jimin's confession or Jungkook's tears that reveal his inner wounds. What made this story even more turbulent were the follow-up rumors that emerged a few days after the incident, a rumor that ignited embers within the fan community, and even split voices among fellow army members. A person claiming to be a former agency staffer wrote in a forum that the reason Jimin kept secrets about Jungkook's mother was not just because of emotional considerations, but because of a direct ban from management at the time. He said the management of Big Hit Entertainment, which is now HYB, knew of Jungkook's condition early on and chose to hide the information from him so that his training focus and schedule would not be disrupted. More than that, it was also mentioned that some other members already knew, but were asked to pretend not to know. Jimin didn't speak because he was being subtly threatened. They said that if Jungkook knew his mother was seriously ill, he could drop, and it was dangerous for BTS's debut schedule, which was very sensitive at that time, the account wrote, sparking a storm of reactions. Is it true that Jungkook is a victim of an entertainment industry system that prioritizes performance over his own idol's mental state? Did his mother even die in silence, and was never given the opportunity to get the full attention of her son due to the bustle of the stage? Anger at the system, anger at the agency, anger at decisions that look so cold, in a world that should be full of love and creativity. Jungkook himself did not confirm these rumors. But what made the public suspect the truth of the rumors was his change of attitude in interviews and subsequent live broadcasts. He looks quieter, more careful when talking, even avoiding questions that touched the family's sphere several times. In one live broadcast, when a fan asked about his mother, Jungkook just smiled a little and said, "I want him to be happy wherever he is." And it is enough to make thousands of comments appear in a short time. With the same questions, what does Jungkook mean? Is his mother gone? Even some soldiers who claim to know Jungkook's family from his hometown, Busan, wrote that over the past few months he had never seen his mother in public as usual. And more people are speculating that in fact the news about her mother's condition is not just an old rumor, but something more final, more painful, and deliberately hidden from the public. More surprisingly, A South Korean culture journalist who used to review the K-pop industry wrote in his article that there was a high probability that Jungkook kept the news of his mother's death for more than a year before it was finally discovered by fellow members. If true, then what happened in the recording session was not just an overflow of emotions, but an explosion of years of pressure kept to themselves by a child who is also the idol of millions of people. This raises one question that shakes the heart of anyone who follows it. How many personal sacrifices do idols make just for the sake of looking perfect in the public eye? More than that. This controversy began to open a debate about the ethical limits in the entertainment industry. Do entertainment companies have the right to regulate how a child reacts to his mother's health? Have fans been demanding too much, not realizing that all they adore are mere mortals who can be ruined by one bad news from home? In the midst of all of that, voices emerged that questioned the role of the other members. Why didn't anyone speak up earlier? Are they all just keeping quiet for the sake of keeping the image? Does this mean that friendship in an idol group as big as BTS can be defeated by corporate pressure? There were even sharp comments that Jimin was actually too selfish to wait for such a public moment to open this story. Why not talk face to face? Why be in front of the camera? Is it sincere or just drama? Wrote one Twitter user. However, many defended Jimin, saying that perhaps that was the only way he could convey everything honestly at a time when his heart could no longer hold back. Most fans believe that Jimin chose the moment precisely because he wanted to show Jungkook that he wasn't alone, that when those tears fell, all eyes were on him for support, not judgment. As this news grew, HYBE remained silent. No official statement, no clarification. And precisely because of this, speculation is growing wildly. Some big fan bases even issued open letters, asking for transparency, asking for respect for members' personal conditions, and denouncing the system that has been silencing reality behind the scenes. Days go by, but this story has not died out. What was once just a simple memory session has now turned into a global spotlight on how the Korean entertainment world may have crossed the line. And in the midst of it all, Jungkook, known as Golden Boy, sat in the middle of the whirlpool of the storm, with wounds that had not yet had time to fully recover. Now, the one thing that remains is the big unanswered question. Is the world ready to accept that even his idol is human? Are we ready to accept that behind the smile of a Jungkook, there is a wound hidden because the world is too busy worshiping him to really care? This story is a warning. A reminder that the glamour of the stage can never truly replace a mother's embrace, and that in a world full of love from the outside, it could be that someone is struggling alone inside. But this story is not finished. What appeared to be a deep outpouring of heart and emotional moments slowly turned into a wider field of conflict. Amid Jungkook's silence and the absence of clarification on the part of the agency, a loophole emerges that paves the way for assumptions, speculations, and accusations that increasingly lead to a darker issue. The exploitation of personal trauma in the interests of the entertainment industry. A provoking narrative emerges from an unnamed former trainee in an independent podcast recording his statements anonymously. He said that a moment like the one between Jimin and Jungkook is not unique, but only one of many narrative arcs indirectly formed by the idol content production team. He refers to this term as emotional engineering, the engineering of emotional moments that are presented to the public as spontaneous events when they have gone through intensive conditioning behind the scenes. You think they don't know what's going on? They know, even know more than counted. But emotions, sadness, tears, all of them are sold very effectively in this world. It's not just the songs, it's not just the choreography, they're also selling the unconscious suffering of being manipulated, she says in the recording. The sentence divided public opinion. Some began to question the authenticity of the moment. Is it true that Jimin just wants to share? Or is there an implicit pressure on the part of management for their content to have emotional depth that can arouse the market? It's no secret that idols' emotional moments often become viral spots. From crying during a concert to a sudden hug at a variety show, everything becomes an attention magnet that strengthens the emotional bond between fans and idols. But when what is sold is a deep grief that concerns the condition of the family, let alone concerns the death of a mother, then the line between empathy and exploitation becomes very thin, making matters more complicated. Some longtime fans began to reveal that Jimin wasn't the only one who knew about Jungkook's mother's condition. One fanatic who is known to have close connections with BTS, longtime staff stated that RM and Jeon allegedly knew about the situation 3 years ago, but chose to remain silent due to direct instructions from the management team director. And this is where the public begins to draw a red line. Why is a child not given the right to know that his mother is seriously ill? Who has that much power to withhold such important information from a biological child? Then came the more wild and provocative issue that Jungkook's mother had died long before the debut of his first solo album, and that fact was hidden not only from the media, but from fans all over the world. It was even mentioned that his funeral was carried out secretly, without coverage, without public presence, and without official notification. If this is true, then arguably the K-pop industry, once again, has sacrificed the most basic dignity and rights of a human being in order to maintain the image, momentum, and market. The controversy culminated when an unofficial document circulated in the online community showing snippets of internal emails between management staff, which called the suspicious term personal suppression protocol. In the context of the document, the protocol is used to direct how staff address the artist's personal problems that are considered not publicly strategic. Delay all releases related to family issues, especially if they lead to grief or public mourning. It's said in an email that was never authenticated but was clear enough to raise public suspicion. Do they really have an official protocol to hide grief? If this is really the case, then the question becomes even darker. Is BTS, a group known for sincerity and warmth between members, also trapped in a system that kills taste in order to save trademarks? What was once considered BTS' emotional strength is now being questioned. Is there genuine warmth? Or is it all just an extension of a commercial narrative designed with great precision? At the same time, no less provocative counterculture arose. That the fans themselves were to blame. We as spectators quietly enjoy their suffering. Every cry of Jungkook that was reclipped millions of times, every hug of Jimin that was given dramatic effect in fan video edits. Is all that evidence that their grief is popular consumption? And more deeply, have we, with all our love and admiration, been part of a system that demands emotional perfection from a human being who has not even healed from his wounds? When tears become content, grief becomes performance, and family secrets become the subject of global discussion. Then the line between love and